The movie starts with a news report where a woman says that a man tried to bite her inside a supermarket. Then the camera pulls back and shows the family dog terrified, while Adam runs quickly to his parents' bedroom and finds them dead and covered in blood. He hides under the bed and grabs a handgun while loading it. A creature enters the room and starts dragging his parents' bodies away before noticing Adam and preparing to attack him too. Then the scene cuts away. We switch to Charlie, a high school student living in Clark County, Nevada, as he pushes his broken motorcycle back home. He says hello to his neighbor Doris before heading into the garage, where his mother Jane starts complaining about the mysterious new neighbor who keeps pouring concrete in his garage for no clear reason. Their conversation gets interrupted by Charlie's friend Ed, who came to pick him up for school. Once Charlie gets to class, the teacher starts calling attendance, and several students are absent, including one of Charlie's closest friends, Adam, the same boy who was killed at the beginning of the movie. After class, Ed pulls Charlie aside and tells him Adam has disappeared, then suggests they sneak over to his house that night to investigate. Charlie hesitates because ever since he started dating Amy, he's become one of the popular kids, while Ed and Adam are seen as losers. Instead of helping Ed, Charlie goes out on a date with Amy. Later, when Amy drops him off at home, he catches his mother flirting with the new neighbor Jerry, so they decide to welcome him properly. After Jerry goes back into his house, Charlie gets a text from Ed threatening to expose embarrassing stories from Charlie's childhood if he doesn't show up. That pushes Charlie to head straight to Adam's house, where Ed is already waiting. The two of them knock on the door, but nobody answers, so they force their way inside and begin exploring the dark, empty house. Ed claims that Charlie's new neighbor Jerry is a vampire, and that he and Adam have been investigating him for a while. Now they're completely sure about Jerry's identity. One of their biggest clues is that Jerry's windows are fully covered, and because of that, Ed warns Charlie never to invite Jerry into his house, since vampires need permission to enter. Of course, Charlie thinks the whole thing sounds ridiculous, and the two start arguing about how much Charlie has changed ever since he started hanging around the popular crowd that Ed believes are fake people. After that, they split up. Ed heads home on his skateboard but gets chased by the school bully Mark, forcing him to climb over a fence to escape. Unfortunately, he ends up in a random backyard where he runs into Jerry. Ed breaks a window and sneaks into the house, thinking Jerry won't be able to enter, but Jerry walks right in because the house is abandoned. Jerry reveals that he knows Ed has been spying on him for a while. Ed panics and runs upstairs before jumping out the window, but Jerry is already waiting for him outside. Ed falls into the swimming pool, and Jerry calmly tells him to relax because what's about to happen will help him. Then Jerry uses his mind control abilities to manipulate Ed before sinking his fangs into his neck. The next day, Charlie notices Ed is missing from school, so he decides to visit his house later on. But when he arrives, he only finds Ed's parents there, welcoming him warmly. Charlie asks if he can go upstairs, pretending he wants to borrow a book. Inside Ed's room, he discovers a vampire hunter website run by a guy named Peter Vincent. He also finds a series of secret videos Ed recorded outside Jerry's house. In one of them, Jerry's car door moves by itself, proving that Jerry doesn't appear on camera. Charlie is completely shocked and finally realizes Ed had been telling the truth all along. When Charlie returns home, Jerry suddenly shows up asking for a favor. He says he has a girl over at his place, but they ran out of beer, so he asks Charlie if he has an extra can. Nervously, Charlie says yes. Jerry follows him to the front door, but, just as expected, he can't come inside. Charlie searches through the fridge while Jerry watches him carefully. During the process, Charlie accidentally breaks a glass bottle, and Jerry offers to help clean it up, but the terrified Charlie insists he can handle it himself. After giving Jerry the beer and shutting the door, Charlie heads upstairs where Amy is waiting for him. But Charlie's mind is completely consumed by thoughts about Jerry. He rushes to the window and realizes the girl who went into Jerry's house was actually their neighbor Doris. Suddenly, Charlie shoves Amy onto the bed when he notices Jerry staring at them from outside. Amy has no idea what's wrong with him and decides to leave. Later that night, Charlie wakes up to the sound of a woman screaming and immediately calls the police. But when the officers arrive, Jerry manages to convince them that he was only joking around with his girlfriend. Charlie watches the entire conversation in disgust as Jerry gets into his car and drives away right after the police leave. Worried about Doris, Charlie sneaks into the vampire's house and starts investigating. He finds a hidden symbol inside Jerry's desk and takes a picture of it as evidence. But before he can discover anything else, Jerry comes back home, forcing Charlie to hide inside a closet. While hiding, Charlie discovers a secret door leading to a hallway filled with several rooms, one of them locked. He peeks through the keyhole and sees Doris trapped inside. He grabs a screwdriver and tries to open the lock, but he's forced to hide again when he hears Jerry approaching. Through the crack in the door, Charlie watches Jerry drag poor Doris away and drink her blood. During the attack, Doris begs Charlie to stay quiet. After that, Jerry throws Doris aside and leaves the room. Charlie finally manages to unlock the door so he can help Doris escape the house safely while Jerry is distracted watching TV in the living room. The two quietly head downstairs and make their way toward the front door, but Jerry suddenly appears and forces them to back away. However, he only grabs an apple before casually returning to the television. Charlie takes advantage of the moment and leads Doris outside, but while they're walking away, they realize Jerry has been watching them the whole time with a sly smile on his face. The two successfully make it out of the house, and by now the sun has already risen. But the moment Doris steps into the sunlight, she suddenly bursts into flames, completely shocking Charlie. When he gets back home, he warns his mother to stay away from Jerry and never invite him inside the house, then leaves her confused and worried. At school, Charlie decides to track down the vampire hunter whose website was open on Ed's computer, Peter Vincent. He follows the information until he reaches a live stage show Peter performs in. Charlie pretends to be a reporter and manages to meet Peter Vincent in his apartment, which is decorated with all kinds of supernatural hunting weapons and bizarre artifacts. But when Charlie starts asking how to kill a vampire, and shows him a picture of the symbol he found inside Jerry's house, Peter assumes Charlie is crazy and throws him out. With no other options left, Charlie returns home and starts placing garlic and crosses everywhere around the house. Meanwhile, the school bullies Mark and Ben are spying on Jerry's house out of curiosity from across the street. Jerry approaches them, and within less than a minute, he attacks them. Inside the house, Charlie begins carving wooden stakes so he can arm himself. Amy shows up and asks him why he's acting so strangely, but before he can explain anything, Jerry knocks on the door and asks Jane to hand over her son, claiming Charlie broke into his house and robbed him the night before. Jane almost believes him, but in the end she chooses to trust Charlie and tells Jerry to get lost. That completely enrages the vampire. Jerry grabs a garden hose and starts wrecking Charlie's yard before cutting the gas line, causing the chimney to explode and the entire house to catch fire. At that point, everyone is finally convinced Jerry is extremely dangerous. The three of them jump into the car and try to escape while Jerry chases them using Charlie's motorcycle. Since the front wheel of the bike was already damaged, Jerry rips it off and throws it at the car, terrifying Amy. Charlie tries to explain that Jerry is a vampire, but his mother still can't fully believe it. Moments later, Jerry slams his vehicle into the back of their car, scrapes against the side of it, then speeds ahead and blocks the road. Jane panics, but Charlie screams at her to keep driving, and she does. Unfortunately, things get even worse when Jerry clings to the underside of the car and smashes through the floor, revealing his true vampire form. Charlie starts kicking him desperately to push him away, and Jane finally slams on the brakes, sending Jerry flying off the vehicle. But seconds later, another car crashes into them, and the angry driver steps out. At that exact moment, Jerry lifts the car with his monstrous strength, approaches the driver, attacks him, and drinks his blood. Charlie bravely steps in holding a large cross to defend himself, while telling his mother and Amy to run. He slowly approaches Jerry, who transforms back into his human appearance, but surprisingly, the cross actually burns the vampire the moment it touches him. Even so, Jerry easily throws Charlie against the car while mocking how stupid humans are, saying they always fail to hit a vampire directly in the heart when trying to stab them with a stake. At that moment, Jane quietly sneaks up behind Jerry and drives a metal pole into him, causing him to scream in pain before she immediately passes out afterward. Charlie and Amy carry her together and jump into the dead driver's car. Then Charlie intentionally crashes the family car so it flips onto Jerry while the three escape the scene. As they drive away, we can see Jerry's bones shifting back into place, proving he's still alive. At the hospital, the police arrive to ask what happened, but Charlie refuses to tell them the truth because he knows they would never believe him. Meanwhile, vampire hunter Peter Vincent decides to examine the fingerprint Charlie left in his apartment the previous day, finally realizing Charlie wasn't lying after all. Peter calls Charlie and asks him to come over. When the three of them finally meet at Peter Vincent's house, he opens up and explains that the symbol belongs to an extremely powerful bloodline of vampires that originated in the Mediterranean region. According to him, these vampires would keep their victims alive for days before eventually turning them into vampires too. Peter explains that Charlie has absolutely no chance against this type of vampire because killing one would require an entire army. Suddenly, Peter receives a call saying a package has arrived for him. He allows the delivery guy to come inside and asks his assistant to grab the package, but it turns out to be a trap. Ed suddenly appears, now fully transformed into a vampire. Peter grabs a cross-shaped weapon to threaten him, but quickly panics and runs when Ed starts chasing him. During the chaos, the security door slams shut on Ed's arm just as he's about to reach Peter. At the same time, Charlie and Amy stumble across Peter's assistant's dead body near the entrance, and they discover the elevator key has been destroyed, meaning they'll need to find another way out. With no other choice left, they hide behind a shelf. At the same time, Ed starts searching for them. After Charlie and Amy knock a shelf over onto him, Charlie grabs the nearest sharp weapon and tells Amy to find somewhere safe to hide. Ed begins choking Charlie and throws him across the room, but Charlie gets back up and grabs the axe hanging on the wall. The two face off, and Charlie starts swinging the axe wildly at Ed until he finally strikes him in the neck. On the other side of the apartment, Amy arms herself with a handgun loaded with silver bullets just as Jerry the vampire arrives. She tries shooting him, but barely hurts him because silver bullets are meant for werewolves, not vampires. With no other options left, she finds the holy chalice and splashes holy water onto his face, temporarily weakening him. And if you thought Ed was dead, he's not. He simply snaps his neck back into place and continues attacking Charlie. He pins Charlie to the floor and tries to bite his neck, but Amy rushes in and hits him with a chain. When Ed gets back up again, Charlie hesitates for a moment before driving a wooden stake into his heart. For a brief second, Ed returns to his normal human form and tells Charlie that everything is okay before turning into ashes. After realizing Jerry is there, Charlie and Amy escape through a door leading into a nightclub while Jerry, now recovered from the holy water, follows them inside. The two get separated in the crowd, and Jerry finds Amy, pulls her toward him, and uses his hypnotic powers to make her drink his blood while completely paralyzing her as he kisses her. Meanwhile, Charlie tries to reach her, but a security guard drags him away, leaving him helpless as he watches Jerry feed on Amy. When Charlie returns to Peter Vincent's apartment, he finds Peter packing his bags and preparing to leave. Peter admits that he has never actually killed a real vampire before and that he only started collecting supernatural hunting equipment because of childhood trauma after his parents were murdered by a vampire. After hearing Charlie out, Peter swears that he's going to kill Jerry. He gives Charlie a special stake that supposedly has the power to turn victims who became vampires back into humans if the original vampire is killed with it. On top of that, Peter explains that vampires can't think clearly when they're on fire. Afterward, Charlie heads to a second-hand store and buys several items, including a bow and arrows, before gearing up and heading straight to Jerry's house. He starts smashing all the windows to let sunlight pour inside. Then he spots Amy trapped in one of the rooms, but before he can reach her, he hears her being dragged away. As Charlie steps outside, Peter Vincent arrives fully armed and ready to help. Together, they discover a hidden door beneath the room Amy was in, so they decide to climb down into it. The two move carefully through the underground passage until they reach a door, completely unaware that Jerry is hiding right behind them. Suddenly, Jerry grabs Peter off the ground, and Charlie tries shooting him with an arrow, but Jerry casually catches it. Then Jerry slams the door shut, trapping Charlie outside and separating him from Peter. Peter backs away while firing at Jerry, but the bullets do absolutely nothing. Eventually, Jerry throws a rock at Peter's forehead, cutting him open and making him bleed. Now it becomes clear that Jerry isn't alone. The younger vampires he had bitten earlier begin crawling out from the ground and the walls, drawn by the smell of blood. Meanwhile, on the other side of the basement, Charlie finds Amy, but her mind has already been corrupted by the vampire's influence, and she temporarily paralyzes him. At the same time, Peter starts blasting the younger vampires with his shotgun, but the weapon jams after only a few shots. When Amy reveals her fangs and tries to bite Charlie, he stabs her with the magical stake but intentionally avoids hitting her heart so he won't kill her. Then Charlie breaks through the door, and the moment he sees Peter in danger, he fires an arrow into the ceiling, creating small holes that allow sunlight to shine through and save him. Jerry realizes Peter has been bitten when he sees him getting burned by sunlight and slowly beginning to transform into a vampire. Amy then walks over to Jerry and starts kissing him, and at that exact moment Charlie uses Peter's lighter to set himself on fire before jumping onto Jerry, revealing that his suit is fireproof. Jerry starts screaming in terror while Charlie clings onto him, and together they crash through the ceiling, creating a massive opening that allows even more sunlight to flood in and burn Jerry alive. Peter then tosses the special stake to Charlie, who drives it directly into Jerry's heart, causing the vampire to explode into dust and scatter into the air. At that moment, all the younger vampires transform back into normal humans, with no memory of how they ended up trapped in the basement. Charlie's friends and many other victims are finally restored to normal thanks to Charlie's bravery. And that's how the movie ends. Thanks for watching, and don't forget that your opinion matters to us, so make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel.